What is it like to travel around Switzerland during March? This is what I'm going to talk about in this video. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jemo. I mostly post videos about Switzerland, Europe, Southeast Asia and the world. Now let's talk about March. I'm pretty sure many of you have different impression of how March in reality is here in Switzerland. So with this video I'm going to bring in some more clarity and then I'm pretty sure you're going to be ready for your travels. Now the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the season. So March, is it spring or is it maybe still winter? So yeah, I guess many of you may have a wrong impression about March in Switzerland. You may think it's already spring, everything is going to bloom and starting to be green, but the reality is actually different. Especially in the first 2 weeks of March, it's definitely still more towards winter, and you can actually really see that, especially when you're up in the Alps, even down in the plains. What, however, is correct is that March indeed marks the beginning of spring. However, that is only on 21st. Up from that day, the first flowers are going to start to bloom. And because in March is still winter, you may wonder how much snow is there in fact. Well, during the first 2 weeks of March, it's still going to be wintry, so there will be a lot of snow. There's also high chance for snowfall, but what I do have to be honest with you, in general, it's not going to be as snowy as January or February. Towards the end of March, there is still going to be snow, but it's already going to get softer, especially on lower altitudes in the Alps, let's say on like 1000 to 1500 meters. You can really tell the difference from the beginning of March and end of March. So in the end of March, towards noon, afternoon, the snow is already getting softer, and for skiing, well, this is not going to be the greatest. Now the weather, March, it's, as I said, it's not spring. It's luckily not April. April is quite messy when it comes to the weather. In general, I would say it's quite dry, but yes, there will be also days where it's going to rain a lot. Temperature-wise, down in the plains, really difficult to say. Can be -5, can also be +20, so this is really a bit unpredictable, I do have to say. In general, I would actually claim that March is a month of surprises. You cannot really predict the weather, but then at least if it's going to rain mostly for the whole day, and if the sun is going to shine, it's going to shine for the whole day. This is something that is not given during the following month in April. Up in the Alps, it's different. So, as I said, there's a high chance for snowfall. Actually, when I was in Zermatt in March last year, it was really great. There was a lot of snow falling and that was really magical, especially when I was roaming around the village during the day and also in the night. Now, yes, I said January and February. In general, there will be a lot of snow in March, but then, as I said also, it's quite unpredictable. So here you can really see, maybe you're very lucky, you're going to have a lot of snow, or you're going to have less snow. But I do have to say, the snowiest time when I was up in Zermatt, that was last year during March, not in February and neither in January. Now, what does that mean about the clothes that you need to bring? As I said in the beginning, it's still winter, and then towards the end it's going to be spring, but then also the temperature may vary a lot. It can also be rainy, sunny, so here you really need to bring winter clothes and also warm weather clothes. So for example, t-shirt when it's going to be warm, or pullover, but then if you're up in the Alps, you need to have a winter jacket, good winter shoes, and then also gloves and a cap, and certainly sunglasses, because up in the Alps in the snow, there's going to be a lot of reflections of the sunlight, and that can actually be very dangerous for your eyes. When it comes to the attractions, March is quite an interesting month. So in the winter destinations up in the Alps, still all the attractions that are going to be open only during summer, they're still going to remain closed because it's still winter season up there. So you'll still have like toboggan runs and other things, they're going to be open in March. However, they're not going to be necessarily open for the entire month. It really depends on the amount and the quality of the snow. So for example, some toboggan runs, they may already close in mid-March and then they're going to reopen only in December. But down in the plains on the lower altitudes in Switzerland, some of the attractions that are closed during winter, they're going to reopen already in March. Other attractions may only open up in April or May, and then up in the Alps sometimes even only in June. The days are getting longer with every day in March, and then on 21st, night and day, they're going to be equally long. and after that the days they're going to be longer. This is really a great thing because in March you're again going to have more hours of sun, something that is not given during December and January. I find skiing in March is really great because slopes, especially in the first 2 weeks, yes, there will be many people, but then also on the bright side, the days are going to be longer, and with that you can actually ski for more hours. So usually in December and January, skiing only starts at 8:30 or even 9 AM and ends at 4:30 PM. This is not the case in March. You can ski earlier in the morning, around 8 o'clock, past 5 PM in the evening. This is really a great thing to know because when you want to purchase the ski pass, you're going to pay more or less the same price for January or February, but here, at least in March, you can enjoy skiing for more hours. So with that, it's really going to be more worth the price. I've already mentioned that before. In later March, the snow is going to get softer throughout the day, so I really advise you to start skiing early towards the end of March, because in the morning the snow is going to be hard. It's really going to be great for skiing. Or maybe after 1 or 2 PM, the snow is going to get softer, and then you'll have the impression that you're not advancing very well, and it's also going to put more load on your knees and ankles. About the season, up in the Alps, it's going to be peak season, especially during the first 2 weeks. This is not because everybody's having holidays in Switzerland, but because of Germany, France, and other countries in Europe. Many of them, they have skiing holidays. Because of that, there's going to be a lot of tourists who come to Switzerland for skiing. So the slopes, they can be quite crowded, and especially in the weekends, it's going to be extra crowded because everyone who is off from work, they're going to the Alps for skiing. This is also very important for you to know when you want to book a hotel. In the Alps, many of the hotels are going to be fully booked, and here you really have to make sure that you're booking in advance. And I'm not talking about 1 week in advance. It's better if you book at least 2 weeks in advance, sometimes even 4 to 8 weeks. So with that, you're going to be sure that you can stay at the hotel that you like. But because it's peak season, also the prices, they're going to be higher. So here in destinations like Zermatt, you really may spend a lot of money on your accommodation, something that's not the case during May or early June. When it comes to the food, March, well, there's not really typical dishes that are known for March. But what I do know is that it's still winter season, so you can try dishes like Metzgete. Up in the Alps, of course, you can have fondue chinoise, really great. Well, and down in the plains, we just usually have the specialties that are available throughout all of the year. Like typical dishes here would be, for example, sliced veal Zurich style Zurich Schnetzlets, or then also very common in Switzerland would be dishes like Gapunz or Bizockel and veal sausage with onion sauce. Well, these are just the most common ones, but of course Swiss cuisine has a much greater variety. When it comes to culture, sometimes March really has a lot to offer. I know the carnivals, they're mostly taking place in February, but in the Protestant regions of Switzerland, sometimes carnival will fall into March. Here, very important to mention would be the canton of Basel. So on a Sunday night, there's going to be the Chienbäsä, which is held on a Sunday night in the city of Liestal. There you'll see a lot of people carrying very heavy broomsticks that are burning, and they're marching through the old city. This is certainly one of the most beautiful traditions you can see in Switzerland, but here, very important, I highly advise you to bring a particle mask because the dust level is going to be very high with all the rust. And yeah, well, if you don't bring a mask along, especially if you're in the old city, then it feels like you're smoking 80 cigarettes in just 1 hour. Well, if you don't like high levels of smog, then you can just see the tradition in front of the old city or at the end. There it's going to be more spacious, then also there's going to be lower dust levels. But what I do have to say, this tradition is very popular and it's going to be very crowded. Then, just a few hours later on Monday morning at 4 AM in the city of Basel, there's going to be the Morgenstreich. Here, really important, you should be up early at 3 in the morning, and then out in the streets latest at 3:45. Then you'll see at 4 o'clock the church will ring 4 times, and then the Morgenstreich is going to start. This is certainly one of the most beautiful cultural moments you can experience in Switzerland. And then on 1st of March, there's Chalandamarz in the canton of Graubünden. The celebration takes place in the smaller villages. It's basically Carnival, but this time it's the kids that are chasing the winter spirits away. You'll see the kids are wearing big bells, they're making a lot of noise, they're marching through the village, around the fountains, and even entering some of the houses. This to chase away all the winter spirits to welcome the arrival of spring.
Chalandamarz, Chalandamarz, lasciai la sfaccia zordui.
Often Easter is going to fall into March. For those who are not familiar with what is Easter, it's the second most important holiday for Christians. They're going to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Very important region to mention here would be the canton of Ticino. In the city of Mendrisio, they're going to have Easter processions on Good Friday and also on the night before. So these Easter processions, they're even considered UNESCO World Heritage, something very special. So on Thursday night, when I went to see it together with my German friend Andreas, we saw this beautiful parade throughout the old city, and they're going to play what happened after the Last Supper when Jesus Christ was condemned to death. It may sound a bit scary, but it's actually very family friendly, definitely a great tradition you should not miss out here in Switzerland. Most of the pass roads in Switzerland, they're going to remain closed in March, this until May or even early June. If you want to take a shortcut, then you can take some of the car train tunnels, for example the one at Furka from Realp to Oberwald, or then at the Autoverlad Lötschberg. That one connects the canton of Bern to the canton of Valais, or then the Autoverlad at Vereina in the canton of Graubünden. Here it's very important for you to bear in mind during weekends, because many people are going or coming from the Alps. These car train tunnels are going to be very busy, and waiting hours can be at least more than 1 hour, sometimes even more than 3 hours. March, I would say, it's not really the month to die for to go see waterfalls. This is because they're not very strong, there's not going to be a lot of water, and up in the Alps there's still going to be a lot of snow. That one is only going to melt later in April and May, and then that's where they're going to feed the waterfalls. I would say May and June, they're much better for seeing waterfalls. I also made videos about these 2 months, which you can watch after this one. As you can see, it's not too bad to travel around Switzerland during March, especially with proper planning, it's going to be great. Now if you want to know how it is to travel around April, then I'm going to see you in this video. Otherwise, if you're more interested in May, then I'm going to see you over there.